What's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Phil Sarpon. This is Phil's Guide to PsyD. If it's your first time here, welcome. This channel is dedicated to all things psychology, wellness, and graduate school. If you guys are interested in applying to graduate school, I do my best to answer any questions that you guys might have about applying to graduate school. So today, this is by popular demand. A number of you have asked me to review some of the books that I have read this year that are about psychology. So I've done a video about this before, but I thought I would update this video with some of the new books that I've read that have really inspired me, that do tap into the psychology world. So hopefully these 3 books will give you guys a glimpse and idea of what psychology could be for you. Whether you're interested in graduate school, whether you're interested in clinical psychology, whether you're just interested in psychology in general, I think these 3 books will help you to see different sides of psychology, how you can use psychology, and how psychology can benefit society. So with that, let's go ahead and get this video started. All right, guys, so I do have to warn you, the first book that I'm going to present to you guys is gonna make some of you guys a little bit upset, but just bear with me, okay? So the first book that we got is gonna be the APA manual. Let's go. Now, here's the thing, guys. I know some of you guys are like, what in the world? Here's the thing. For anyone that is interested in graduate school, perhaps you are applying right now, perhaps you're about to go into clinical psychology school very soon, getting the APA manual is such a huge and important thing to do. I actually pushed it off after my first year of clinical psychology school, and I definitely regretted it. Now, obviously this isn't gonna be an enjoyable read necessarily for most people, but it is one of the most important books that you will probably use in graduate school for all of your papers, for your dissertation, for your research. If you're gonna be a research assistant, you definitely need this book. If you're gonna be in graduate school, you should definitely probably get this book. And honestly, here's the thing, it's actually not that bad of a read. It's not as bad as it sounds. I included it in my top 3 books because overall I wanted to give you guys a little bit of more of a helpful book to read, and then some of the other books are more just fun and light. But for the helpful stuff, for the school stuff, we got to stick with this book, guys. This book will give you everything that you need in order to survive graduate school. I'm not even kidding, all right? So if you have any questions about this manual, definitely put it down in the comment section below. But again, this isn't necessarily a book, obviously, that you have to read word for word. It's really just one of those books where you pick up when you need it. And again, I wish I had picked it up so much sooner than I did. It has immensely helped me so much in writing my dissertation and doing research and just in overall graduate school. All right, so number 2, again, is a little bit of a different book, but I promise you that this book is so much more fun. It is intense, but it's so much more interesting in terms of the psychology side. The book is called My Grandmother's Hand by Resmaa Menakem. He is a mental health professional. He's actually a somatic therapist, and so he does a lot of things in terms of therapy, in terms of integrating both the body and the mind. If you haven't heard of this book is absolutely incredible. What the author does is that he does target and he does talk to each different types of people. So he talks to police officers, he talks to Black Americans, and he also talks to white Americans. And he talks to basically all of these 3 groups of people in terms of what has happened in terms of racialized trauma for all groups and all ethnicities, as well as the effects of how that racialized trauma has been in the Black American population. And he does talk about things that have contributed to that, things like police brutality or systemic racism. So again, this is a little bit more of a deeper book, but it does give you a psychology sense and a side of how people think, and especially how trauma affects people, not just individuals, but groups of people. And so if you're interested in social psychology, if you're interested in underrepresented groups in terms of people of color and how they deal with different things, and even if you're interested in the realms of how, as a future clinician, you can use this knowledge to better help yourself know this information, as well as help yourself when you come in contact with people of color in terms of treatment and clinical treatment. All right, guys, so I tried to stick with a consistent theme as I was bringing up these books. All of these books are concerning psychology in some way, shape, or form. As I mentioned before, the APA manual covers sort of the academic side. The racialized trauma book covers more of the emotional, intense therapy, social psychology, environmental psychology side. So it's a little bit more holistic, a little bit more community-based. This book that I'm about to share with you guys is a little bit more individual. And this is also, again, for people who are looking to become therapists or mental health professionals or going to graduate school to become a psychologist. This book will help you a little bit to see perhaps what theoretical orientation that you might actually use when you become a therapist. And so what theoretical orientation means is that basically there's a number of different ways to go about therapy. Now, essentially what a theoretical orientation is basically you as a therapist are going to conduct therapy in a certain type of way based on evidence-based research in terms of how other past therapists have helped other clients. So there's cognitive behavioral therapy, which is probably one of the more common types of therapy. And this therapy uses more cognitive means to help their patients and their clients. There's also ACT, there's also humanistic. So there's a number of different types of therapies out there. When you go into graduate school, you'll learn about some of the basic principles of these therapies. But then once you actually start your practicum or once you start your clinical rotations, you'll actually have to find and utilize your own sense of basic principles of one of these therapies to actually do and utilize for your clients. And so that is what is called a theoretical orientation. Basically, you're taking the framework of CBT or psychodynamic or humanistic, and you're utilizing it when you do therapy with your patients or your clients. So hopefully that helps you to kind of give a little bit of an overview of what theoretical orientations are. The reason that I love this particular book is that it gives you a glimpse of a very unique type of theoretical orientation. The book is called Love's Executioner and Other Tales of Psychotherapy by Irvin D. Yalom. You guys know that I love this author. He is such a good writer. I could honestly read his books for hours and hours and hours. He also wrote a previous book that I've done a review on, which is The Gift of Therapy, which is also another great book about how he basically goes about therapy for different clients. I especially love this book because, again, for anyone who hasn't been a therapist before and is thinking about graduate school, thinking about becoming a therapist or a psychologist, you want to know and understand basically a little bit of how to do therapy, perhaps even before you get into graduate school. And one of the best ways to do that is obviously you can shadow, but then you could also read. And the thing I love about this book is that it gives you an insight glimpse of what therapy could be like for different clients. It's almost like when you're reading this book, you are actually in the room with Yalom himself as he's doing therapy with his patient. As a future psychologist, this book gave me a glimpse of what I could do with my clients one day, and I think it'll give you guys a glimpse too of perhaps seeing different techniques and perhaps navigating your own type of techniques as you learn some of the theoretical orientations when you get into graduate school. If you guys also have any suggestions for books that we should also take a look into, definitely also put it down in the comment section below. I'm sure the community would love to see a list of psychology books that people can pretty much get their hands on and start reading. All right, guys, so with that, that is all. I will see you guys in the next video.